Ladies and gentlemen, now today we are back for another slightly controversial top 10 video, and in this video we're going to be covering my thoughts on the top 10 Mystic characters. And Mystic as a class is absolutely phenomenal. There are so many really good characters, it was hard to do this top 10 because there's a few of them that I kind of think should be in the top 10, but there's not enough room in the top 10 for them. So again, two very big honourable mentions, maybe three big honourable mentions toward the end of this video. And one of those characters, man, is one of my personal favourite characters to play as well, but I didn't think he was quite in the top 10, but very, very close at the same time. So yeah, also the Mystic class, out of all 6 of the classes, by far has the most powerful mastery. The Mystic Dispersion mastery is absolute insanity in any scenario where there are lots of buffs to take advantage of. Now, to get into the breakdown, starting off today at number 10 is the Beast of Burst Sasquatch. This character is absolutely phenomenal once you build up his rage stacks and enter Wrath. I kind of used to compare him somewhat to like a Mystic version of Namor in terms of how his damage output feels, because it's not really that exciting until you hit Wrath, and then it's just absolutely crazy because you can just fire off loads of back-to-back special 2s. Also, instead of dealing with buffs, he also has additional power gain when the opponent has 1 or 4 or more buffs on the opponent. So this combined with his Wrath, man, basically just allows him to spam like so much special 2. He also applies rupture debuffs, and no character I believe at the moment has rupture immunity. So again, his uses are very wide. He doesn't have like common matchups that counter him. Again, there are like debuff immune scenarios and also skill characters that do shrug off debuffs that make this a little bit less effective overall, but generally speaking, this is a really good damage over time to have. He can also apply 2 staggers via his heavy attacks as well, so he can manage certain matchups and scenarios like the champion, although he's not the best and easiest counter to use for them, but he still can work in the right matchup and scenario there. And yeah, he also has immunity to frostbite effects and takes 90% less damage, and I believe duration as well from Cold Snap. So again, you don't really need to worry about Cold Snap when playing this character, and also he's fully immune to armor break debuffs as well. So it means he's a really good counter to Airwalker. Again, this guy, Vision Arcus, Airwalker, Iceman, he has a lot of really good matchups that are just like generally like very annoying characters to deal with. So yeah, overall Sasquatch, super fun to play, man. Got loads of great uses in the end game. Amazing for variant 5, the XL variant, lots of different fights across the board as well. So yeah, just a very useful champion to have that does put in a lot of work. Now, at the number 9 spot, we've got Dr. Voodoo. Now, Dr. Voodoo, I feel like is a character that just like kind of constantly comes back. There's always some like interesting use for him, and I think with Act 7 as well, there is so much poison vulnerability knocking about, but he was also amazing for variant 5. There were so many matchups and scenarios where you could just like heavily poison the opponent, or in the Mystic chapters, it's just a mega cheese for Dr. Voodoo. But generally speaking, this guy has access to massive healing, a very strong ability accuracy reduction, and also increased duration of debuffs on the opponent, so you can get like mega long stuns off your parries as well. There's also additional energy resistance while blocking. Via the special 1, again, you can convert all buffs on the opponent and also his lowers into poisons. That's really useful for all sorts of scenarios. The special attack 2, you've got very versatile power control. It can either be a power drain on the opponent or power burning buffs on Dr. Voodoo himself, and you can get up to 3 of these, so he can actually counter the buffed up nodes as well. Again, Dr. Voodoo is just so versatile because he can deal with like Distract with all his poison debuffs, or buffed up with his lower buffs as well. And also via the special 3, you have an additional like power drain, which also gives Dr. Voodoo additional power if you do like benefit a bit too much from Mystic Dispersion and get pushed to the special 3 there. So yeah, he's just a very interesting and versatile character that I find constantly like there's gameplay popping up in all sorts of scenarios that you wouldn't like initially think of Dr. Voodoo for first. But yeah, I think this year he's really shown that he's a character that is aging well, still bringing a lot to the table. So yeah, I've got mad love for Dr. Voodoo. Now at number 8, we've got a character that is one of the hardest, if not the hardest character to play in the entire game, and that character is Tigra. Now Tigra has some insane utility that if you play the spacing right and the timing timing right, you can fully phase through pretty much any special attack. And this is huge when it comes to all sorts of scenarios, especially like Apocalypse and Alliance Quest at the moment, and just really annoying like projectile-based special attacks. But what I've seen come out of skilled Tigra players has just blown my mind in the last few months. I've seen Collector solos, I've seen Apocalypse solos just absolutely rinse there. So yeah, she's so powerful because she's kind of like a to a certain extent, a mystic version of Ghost that is much more difficult to play. But she has massive power gain, potentially massive rupture damage, and again, very much like Sasquatch as well, you have no characters that are immune to rupture. You do have debuff immune matchups, and characters that shrug off, and those aren't going to be so great. But again, a lot of matchups where you can apply those debuffs and just rinse down the opponent. But for more Tigra gameplay and action, check out Metal Sonic Dude on YouTube. He's got some absolutely insane gameplay, dominating all sorts of characters from like Apocalypse to Iron Man Infinity War, and just so many like top meta defenders, man. But she's very hard to play. You need to perfect spacing and also timing to near perfection on this character, but I've been so impressed from what I've seen so far this year. So Tigra for now is going to be at number 8, could be higher in the future, could be lower, but I'm curious to see how this character and the players around her evolve over the next year, because I do see a lot of potential when it comes to Tigra. Now, at number 7, we got Dragon Man. I absolutely love this character. If I wasn't going to open the next 6-star feature next week, this guy would be rank 5 immediately, but I'm really hoping I can get a 6-star version of Dragon Man. This guy is actually a robot, so he's got full immunity to bleed, poison, and armor shatter. He also has regular unblockable, and if you get the opponent into the corner, it's very hard for them to get a special 3, but he has massive burst damage, very similar to Hyperion as well. He's got a massive power gain. I think his power gain is actually slightly stronger than Hyperion's, just by what is it, 1 or 2%? But again, he's got easy access to unblockable buffs, knocking the opponent down, and also has one of the most crazy and cheesy abilities in the entire game off the special attack 3. So once you do like 2 special 3s, you can gain up to a 16-second unstoppable buff, and any damage you take from direct hits during this, you regenerate 85% of that damage. But then if you have the mastery that increases your healing, it pretty much covers all of the damage you take. So yeah, he's like almost unkillable. We did a very cheesy video showcasing this synergy versus the champion, man, and it is so much fun. But you've got massive damage off the special too, and you also gain a fury off that as well. So again, for various nodes and scenarios, he does have poison immunity, access to fury, so because of this he can get around nodes like caustic temper. So yeah, just absolutely phenomenal there. But also on his special one, he does have an ineptitude debuff, and I haven't really found this too useful, but on the opponent it reduces the potency of stuff like Fury, Armor Up, Precision, and Cruelty, and can also invert these effects as well. And also Special 1 does apply slow, so you can counter Unstoppable and evade effects there. Again, Dragon Man is just an absolute package of utility. Also being an XL Mystic Champion, really good for Variant 5, Variant 2, got some great uses in Variant 1, Variant 4 as well, and can be used even in the Tech variant, because its damage output is pretty damn spicy. But yeah, Dragon Man was just such a solid addition, man. Really good character, and definitely deserving of a spot on this top 10 list. Now, at number 6, and this one was really tough because I feel like Sorcerer Supreme and Dragon Man are so close together in terms of their overall value, but Sorcerer Supreme has one of the most nutty regeneration block abilities that I've ever seen, man. It is so powerful, and actually makes her like one of the best block characters in the entire game once you get that rune and blessing activated. So Sorcerer Supreme, she's got tons of utility, huge energy resistance, a fair amount of damage output as well if you do stack up the armor breaks on her, and also she has very easy access to armor breaks for any opponent like Killmonger or Emma Frost, where you need to shatter the armor in order to deal some pretty big damage there. She's also got very easy access to a nullify on the special one, and then applies an aura that basically spams nullify every 0.75 seconds for 10 seconds. So yeah, this is really good for just stripping away away tons of buffs and a core piece of utility that you really want on a Mystic character, man. It's just so incredibly good for getting through all sorts of different matchups there. Also, the special 2, you've got massive damage, again, if you can stack up the armor breaks, and via the special 3 actually hits really, really hard, and the more you ramp her up and the more you store up runes as well, you get a massive up to 6,000 bonus attack rating on 6-star rank 1. So yeah, the special 3 hits really, really hard and also gives you a permanent rune based on the blessing that you have. So yeah, this just makes it really easy to access one of the 3 pieces of utility. So you've got the armor break, you've got the passive regeneration over 12 seconds, but also you regenerate 75% of the damage you take from blocked hits as well. So with the healing mastery, this goes up even further to just above 80%. Again, with the passive regeneration on top, like, she just sustains all of the block damage she takes and usually makes quite substantial gains as well. And also via the power gain rune, you can slow the opponent for 12 seconds, reducing unstoppable and also evadability accuracy by 100%. However, this doesn't work against science champions, but again, for all sorts of scenarios like that node where you proc unstoppable and evade, just completely cancels that one out. And also like champion matchup, really good for Nightcrawler, just all sorts of annoying matchups that aren't science based there. So again, that's some really nice utility, but again, there's just a lot of really good stuff packed into Sorcerer Supreme. So I'd say again, her and Dragon Man are very close together, and depending on the scenario, like, one of them can be like much better than the other. Now, at the number 5 spot, we've got the OG Queen of Power Control, Magic, who is still one of the strongest power control champions in the entire game. What you do is you get to the special 2, you spam that drains the opponent and steals some of their power as well, and also has a very strong chance to power lock the opponent. But if you just keep the opponent in the corner and spam special 2, again, it's just such consistent and reliable power control and just shuts down and dominates so many matchups. But also via her special 3, you nullify and remove all the buffs on the opponent and get a massive attack bonus for every single buff that you nullify. So in scenarios where there are loads of buffs to take advantage of, this can really punish certain opponents for massive damage. And also her limbo ability allows her to bounce back based on the amount of damage that she takes during limbo. So yeah, this can be really, really fun if there's some sort of like fun interactive degeneration damage for just like bouncing back after 3 seconds, man. Limbo is so clutch as well, sometimes if you do mess up playing Magic, for just like rewinding any of the damage taken. So yeah, overall Magic, she's quite a simple character, quite an older one, but still amazing for so many scenarios. Now at number 4, we've got one of the most satisfying champions to play in the entire game, Longshot. Now arguably Longshot is actually quite a simple champion, but what he does so effectively. So the first thing he does is when you apply bad karma to the opponent, it reduces their power gain by 12% per stack, and it's very easy to get to 5 stacks very quickly, but also as well as reducing it, he gains that power instead. So it's a 60% power gain reduction, which all of that he's gaining to fuel up to his special 2. Now when you apply the special 2, it nullifies all of the buffs on the opponent and your bad karma and applies Fate Seal. And also on top of this, for each buff and bad karma removed, applies a passive incinerate, which just nukes the opponent. There is so much damage off this, man. Longshot special 2 just hits like an atom bomb. It is crazy and so much fun to fire off. And also after that, any buffs that the opponent would get are immediately nullified and turned into incinerate damage. So it's so much fun, and pretty much once you get into playing this character, by the time your Fate Seal expires, you're back at another special 2 again, so you've got that ready to apply. So he's absolutely outstanding for controlling buffs, but he doesn't work for the champion boss in 6.2 just due to the fact that he does have Fate Seal immunity if he's on the final node. But there are so many scenarios and matchups where this character is absolutely phenomenal for. If there are lots of buffs, he's probably the highest damage output character for a lot of different scenarios. However, even if there aren't buffs, man, his damage is still absolutely fantastic as long as you can incinerate the opponent. So yeah, I love Longshot. Honestly, this man, he is very Very straightforward once you learn how to play the character, but he is so effective in terms of what he does, and he doesn't need to be awakened to be a really good champion, but with the awakened ability you have a chance to copy stuff like unstoppable, unblockable, and also true strike buffs, and you also have a chance to immediately nullify certain buffs as well, and immediately replace them with bad karma. So again, this guy just has even more firepower with that awakened ability, but I've been playing him without his awakened ability for like the last, 6 to 8 months. And honestly, man, he's just never disappointed me. This character is absolutely phenomenal. Now, next up at that number 3 spot, we've got Symbiote Supreme, an absolutely insane character. The rule with Symbiote Supreme is if you can bleed the opponent and the opponent has buffs, he's probably going to be one of the best options, if not the best option. The damage output in longer fights against the champion, also Axe 7 Venom, is absolutely crazy. Like, once you get that special 3 and start cycling special 2s to apply armor breaks and just loads of massive bleeds, the damage output is absolutely ridiculous. This guy has so much passive nullify that's going on, and via the awakened ability as well, you passively apply stagger effects to the opponent, so this allows you to very quickly and easily control matchups like Hyperion, Medusa, the champion, just a lot of very annoying cosmic characters. He's also got this absolutely insane Iceman style ability that basically whenever you trigger the armor phase or the special 3 and trigger all of the phases you get. So it's a 10-second protection, and it prevents you from taking more than 15% of his max health per hit, and this also applies to special 3. However, if the opponent has a buff, this is halved to 7.5%. So basically, if you're fighting Hyperion, he's got power gain, goes special 3, you only take 7.5% of his maximum health as damage. So yeah, you can tank special 3s from all sorts of really annoying characters. Again, if his power steal via the special 2 doesn't line up. But overall, Symbiote Supreme is just really, really impressive, man. But again, if you can bleed the opponent, their buffs, this guy is just going to go so crazy. This character just has so many great uses and a variety of very annoying endgame fights, so I think he's a brilliant addition to anybody's roster, and definitely worthy of a top 3 spot. Now, at the number 2 spot, it's got to be Black Widow Clairvoyant, and you can kind of view this champion as the Mystic Warlock. She is so incredibly versatile for so many different scenarios. If you need bleed, poison, or incinerate immunity, she's got it. If you need to apply a bleed for like bleed vulnerability or poison for poison vulnerability, she has that as well. There's loads of debuffs on the character, available pretty much at demand for any 3 of the debuffs. So she can be really good for distract nodes. Like, she's amazing for variant 5. She's regeneration, power steal. You can switch to Hellfire as well to get bursts of additional energy damage. On top of that as well, all of her basic attacks deal energy instead of physical damage, so for high resistance scenarios this can be really good. Her power gain combined with Mystic Dispersion is really nice in certain matchups. So anytime you apply a debuff that the opponent is immune to, you gain 4% of her max power. And again, she can apply these debuffs very fast with her heavy attacks, so you got massive power gain. Her special 2 as well, if you are in the regeneration stance, regenerates based off damage dealt. So if you've got a massive damage booster from all sorts of various nodes like Flare or Power Shield, for example, this is pretty much a full heal there. It could be so valuable. And the special attack 2 inflicts buff immunity for 10 seconds. And every time the opponent triggers a buff during this, you gain an additional nullify charge. So once you get to the special 2, it's just really easy to manage buffs on the opponent and deal with them. And yeah, finally you got a fair amount of damage off the special attack 3. Not the hardest hitting special, man, but it's a good chunk based on the amount of charges that she does have. So overall, again, there's a lot to talk about and all sorts of cool interactions in current and future content with Clairvoyant, but she's an absolutely outstanding champion, covers so many bases, so I think she's very deserving of number 2 on this list. Now, for the number 1 character, man, it's gotta be Dr. Doom. He is just an absolute game changer for anybody that pulls this character and learns how to play him. Like Brian's free-to-play run, Dr. Doom carried tried him so hard, pretty much was one of the sole reasons he managed to get Cavalier in less than a week. Does so much work in Variant 5, Act 6, Abyss of Legends, earlier variants as well, Variant 1, the toughest variant, he's really, really good for that as well. There is just like everything you want from a Mystic champion in Doctor Doom, and so much of it. So as soon as you've got his aura active, and like once you're into a fight, man, this is pretty much 100% of the time. You're constantly stealing the opponent's power, you're constantly nullifying buffs, you've got an on-demand stagger on the heavy attack. It's also very easy to like spam chain on heavy attacks for this dude as well, because whenever you have shock on the opponent via your medium attacks or via his awakened ability, you can passively stun the opponent when you go to throw a heavy attack. So the control is just absolutely unreal. And also, if you do get hurt on Doom, he becomes unstoppable and stun immune against the last hit of an incoming Special 1, Special 2 and heavy attack, and it caps the damage at 5%. But then this mechanic comes in and just completely saves you. On top of that, he's just got a wombo combo, man. There is so much damage output. Like once you get 2 Special 3s and then fire off like the medium, light medium straight into full combo, Special 1 drain the opponent, blast them with a Special 2. Again, if there are more buffs to fuel up the power gain, on top of that, the damage can get even crazier. But yeah, he's just so much fun to play, man. Was an MVP for my Abyss of Legends 100% runs, and I've just had so much use out of Doctor Doom. I'm absolutely dying to get the 6-star rank 3 version so I can use him in Act 7 moving forward. But this guy as well has been so amazing for Alliance War, because once you get to a Special Attack 3, you can just get in a combo that pretty much nukes down the majority of opponents. So I've just found him absolutely outstanding for so many different fights and matchups. But yeah, Doctor Doom is just fantastic, man. He's also got full immunity to shock, armor break, armor shatter, so he can counter annoying matchups like Warlock, where you get shocked there. Also Airwalker, where he's going to armor break you. So yeah, there's just a lot of good stuff that Doctor Doom can do. And the more you play Doom, the more you realize just how insane he is for just dominating so many different matchups. But I can also understand that Doctor Doom, because of all of his special attacks, isn't a very suicide mastery friendly champion. So if you do run the suicides, maybe Black Widow Clairvoyant is your #1 character. However, that is it for the top 10 Mystic champions, but I want to talk about the honourable mentions. Now, to start off with the honourable mentions, we got Mojo, man, one of my favourite characters, and I was gutted that he didn't quite make the list today. However, I feel like he's slightly under, because he has very low block proficiency, he does have a bit of a heal, and he doesn't really have like a great way to deal with the opponent gaining power or like consistently nullify buffs in a lot of scenarios. So I've always found like Mojo like a really fun character to play, but not quite top tier, man. But in the right matchup and scenario, he just absolutely shreds. There is so much Special 2 damage, and again, the Special 2s you can fuel up very quickly with the combination of Mystic Dispersion and also completing his prompts as well. He does take like a couple of fights to ramp up in order to get into his damage quite quickly, but then it's immediately from the get-go you can get into like the massive fury damage very quickly. But yeah, Mojo, he's just super fun to play. Also, Morningstar has so much utility in the right matchup once you do get her ramped up. She's got really high perfect block chance, she can steal a little bit of the damage, the Special 2 God Nukes, and it's so much fun to fire off. She can also copy buffs off the opponent, such as regeneration, fury, and also power gain. And yeah, Morningstar's just really helpful for a lot of different matchups. And again, I wish I could fit her in this top 10 list, because I think she's still a really good champion to take up for a lot of progressing players. But if you do want to play Morningstar, she has that con of, again, you ideally need the full 5 souls to get the most out of her, like bare minimum 4 souls, so you do need to win like 2 to 3 matchups where, you know, she's not doing too well for, but with synergies and the awakened ability, it does make her a little bit quicker to ramp up there. But again, in the right scenario, Morningstar still does so much work, so she definitely deserves an honourable mention there as well. Again, Scarlet Witch is a character that is now available as a 5-star. With the right RNG, you can see some pretty impressive numbers off Scarlet Witch. She's still an absolute nullify machine, and the regeneration when it does proc is very, very nice as well. On top of that, Loki is sometimes a bit fun for like stealing buffs and doing some like cheesy stuff with as well. Ghost Rider still has loads of utility, man. You've got the bleed immunity, now incinerate immunity as well. You have the ability to strip off buffs, apply Fate Seal, a little bit of power drain as well. You also have some really strong regeneration on Ghost Rider, so that's very useful in all sorts of matches. But yeah, this character's damage kind of lags a little bit in comparison to top Mystics. But again, if you really do enjoy playing him, there are a lot of scenarios he can work for. It's just the bigger the health pools get, the more outdated Ghost Rider starts to feel to a certain extent. And I don't think the Cosmic Ghost Rider synergy has maybe helped him like enough there. So yeah, Ghost Rider is overshadowed by a lot of other Mystics and also Cosmic Ghost Rider now, at least in my opinion. But also we got Man-Thing. If you like a lot of poison damage, armor breaks, a little bit of regeneration. The damage really isn't that great, but he's got some cool stuff he can do. Hood as well. I know there's quite a fan club for Hood. He's got a very consistent stagger you can apply to the opponent. You got Fate Seal on the special too. The invisibility gives projectiles a 90% chance to miss on top of that. So yeah, when he's invisible, man, can be a really, really fun time. Then we've also got Mephisto, who can be alright in the right scenario with full team synergies. You can get a fair bit of damage output out of this dude. Also, you know, his cheat death ability to heal up as well. It does consume your souls and damage output, but it's like a nice safety net. Maybe a little bit better than dying in some scenarios. Guillotine can be really good for loads of bleed damage and also reversing healing. She's a little bit outdated in terms of her mechanics generally speaking and needs a bit more, but the heal on her base can be really nice for the right matchup and scenario, and she's some pretty good uses in Variant 5. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it when it does come to the Mystic class. Actually, Mordo as well. That special too, if there are lots of buffs on the opponent, can deal some really, really good damage. But yeah, Mordo, he's a very niche character in his general uses, I would say, but like he does have some scenarios where he does pull through and deliver a pretty good performance. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on the top 10 Mystic champions as of December 2020. Looking through the class, there are so many amazing characters, so much value. So yeah, hopefully you did enjoy today's video, and if you did, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. But aside from that, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.